Hello there, and welcome back to the channel. In today's story, we'll explore an alternate timeline where Count Dooku turns back to the light during Attack of the Clones. If you enjoy stories like these, please consider liking and subscribing. Now let's dive in. Our story begins on Geonosis. The Geonosian holding chamber pulsed with a dull red glow, the same color as the sand that caked the floors and the blood that had dried on so many shackles. Obi-Wan Kenobi hung suspended inside the crackling blue energy field, wrists bound and feet dangling just off the ground. Sweat gathered at his brow, dripping down into his coarse beard. Despite the pain and discomfort, his breathing was calm, steady, disciplined. The Force still moved around him, quiet but present, as if whispering reassurance. The metal doors parted with a grinding scrape. Count Dooku entered, his cape flowing behind him like a living shadow. He regarded Obi-Wan with a conflicted expression, distant but not cold. "Hello, my young friend," Dooku said, voice smooth and courteous, as if they were meeting for tea rather than during wartime. "I regret you are in this situation." Obi-Wan rolled his eyes. "Surely you're not here to apologize." Dooku walked in a slow circle around him. "Believe it or not, I bear you no ill will. You were simply unfortunate to discover what you did." "Which part?" Obi-Wan asked sharply. "Your bounty hunter? Or the part where the Separatists are building droids to slaughter their way across the Republic?" Dooku paused. "The truth, Obi-Wan. What if I were to tell you that the Republic you serve is already under the control of a Sith Lord?" Obi-Wan stiffened, then refuses to believe him. "A Sith Lord controlling the Senate?" he replied. "That's impossible. The Jedi would have sensed it." "If only that were the case." Dooku's tone darkened. "A Dark Lord of the Sith commands the Republic. All your efforts, all your wars, it is all orchestrated by him." Obi-Wan's gaze sharpened. He felt the Force tremble at Dooku's words. Then he spoke, voice low but cutting. "Qui-Gon died at the hands of the Sith," Obi-Wan said. "They killed him. They destroyed everything he believed in. And you, his own master, serve the very same darkness that took him from us." Dooku's composure faltered. Obi-Wan sensed it. Then he pushed harder. "If Qui-Gon were alive, he would be ashamed. He would look at what you've become, and he would not recognize you." A long silence settled between them. Dooku's eyes wavered with something nearly human. Pain, regret, old wounds reopening. "If only you understood, Obi-Wan," he whispered. "If only you understood how deeply the Jedi have failed." He turned away and walked out, the door sealing behind him. But Obi-Wan felt something shift, a fracture in Count Dooku's iron resolve, a spark of light long buried. Hours later, the Geonosian arena roared with bloodlust. Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Padme were chained to pillars, awaiting execution. The beasts emerged, the sands ignited with chaos. Obi-Wan fought for survival, so did Anakin and Padme. But the tide turned when hundreds of Jedi descended in a flash of sabers. Then the clones arrived, white-armored troops born for war, blasting through the droid hordes. The battle began. The Clone Wars ignited. When the smoke lifted, Obi-Wan and Anakin raced toward Dooku's departing speeder. Padme fell from the gunship during the chase. Anakin shouted, slamming a fist against the hull. "Put the ship down!" Obi-Wan seized his arm. "Anakin, don't let your personal feelings get in the way. We have a job to do." "I don't care. Put the ship down." "Come to your senses. What do you think Padme would do were she in your position?" Anakin hesitated, then growled, "She would do her duty." Then the gunship continued to Dooku's hideout. In the distance, Dooku entered an abandoned hangar, cloak billowing behind him as he prepared for departure. Anakin landed before the ship fully touched the ground, sprinting toward Dooku with reckless fury. "You're not escaping!" he roared. Dooku merely lifted a hand. Lightning burst from his fingertips, slamming into Anakin's chest and hurling him across the hangar wall. He collapsed, gasping, lightsaber falling from his grasp. "Anakin!" Obi-Wan charged forward, blade igniting. The duel was fierce, sparks lighting the dim chamber. Obi-Wan parried, spun, pressed forward, only to be driven back. Dooku's Makashi form was elegant, precise, unyielding. But Obi-Wan was relentless. When their sabers locked, Obi-Wan stared into Dooku's eyes and spoke with the weight of a lifetime, in hopes of poking at the light hidden deep inside the former Jedi. "Dooku, look at what you've become. You know the Sith bring nothing but destruction. They killed Qui-Gon. They fuel war. They thrive in chaos. Everything you wanted to fix, they are the ones poisoning it." Dooku gritted his teeth, pushing back. "It is the only way to fix a broken galaxy." "No," Obi-Wan countered. "It's the path of a fool. You think the Sith want peace? They want power. You are a pawn to them, Dooku. A puppet." The accusation hit like a hammer. Obi-Wan did not relent. "You let your anger toward the Council blind you. You let your grief over Qui-Gon twist you. And now, you serve the very evil you once fought against. Deep down, you know you've made a mistake." Dooku froze. Something cracked inside him. A lifetime of repressed truth, of guilt, of betrayal, of lost purpose. He stepped back, lowering his saber. His breath trembled. "Perhaps," Dooku whispered, "perhaps I have been blind." Obi-Wan's saber lowered as well. "It's not too late," he said softly. "As long as you choose the light, redemption is always possible." Footsteps echoed. Yoda entered the hangar, leaning on his cane, face full of sorrow and hope. "Come back, Dooku," Yoda said gently. "Still my Padawan you are in the Force. Lost you were, but forever lost none are." Dooku bowed his head, voice cracking. "Master, what have I become?" Then he inhaled sharply and revealed the truth. "The Sith Lord, Darth Sidious, is Chancellor Palpatine." Obi-Wan froze. Yoda shut his eyes, anguish twisting his ancient face. Anakin, groaning and clutching his ribs, gasped, "No, it can't be. The Chancellor is a good man." "He's manipulated you," Dooku said quietly. "All of us." Aboard Dooku's ship, the air was heavy with tension. "Let me show you," Dooku said, activating a holoprojector. Recordings flickered to life. Palpatine's voice, cold, calculating, echoed through the chamber. "Have Kenobi executed. The war must begin." Another recording. "Ensure Senator Amidala is eliminated. She threatens the plan." Anakin's hands shook, his eyes filled with disbelief and internal collapse. He ordered Padme's death. He ordered Obi-Wan's. It can't be true. The realization shattered him. Obi-Wan placed a hand on his shoulder. "We confront him together, no matter what happens." Dooku nodded solemnly. "I will face my sins." With a burst of engines, the ship soared toward Coruscant, toward the underbelly where Sidious waited in the shadows. The journey from Geonosis to Coruscant was heavy with unspoken tension. Inside the dimly lit cabin of Dooku's solar sailor, the four Force sensitives sat in an uneasy silence. Yoda meditating with his eyes closed, Obi-Wan and Anakin quietly looking at the stars, while Dooku sat at the pilot's controls, the weight of his choices pressing on his hunched shoulders. The former Count, now only a man burdened by the ashes of his own sins, kept his gaze fixed on the star-lined void ahead. Each passing second seemed to stretch out like the years he had wasted under Sidious's shadow. He felt the tremors before anyone else, a disturbance in the Force, cold and sharp, like a blade being drawn in darkness. "He knows," Dooku said softly, barely louder than the hum of the ship. Obi-Wan stepped closer. "Sidious?" Dooku nodded. "His awareness is unparalleled when betrayal is concerned. That is his greatest talent, his mastery of suspicion. Yoda's eyes opened. Prepared for treachery, he always is. The ship broke into Coruscant's upper atmosphere, descending toward the lower industrial sector where Sidious had instructed Dooku to meet him for updates on the manufacturing lines. But the building below, an abandoned Durasteel tower half sunken between two smog-choked foundries, felt wrong. The force churned in its foundation like a brewing storm. When the ship touched down, the landing struts rattled upon impact. Dust rose from the cracked Duracrete. The structure was dark, its windows shattered, its interior silent. Not even Sidious breathed in this place. Dooku descended the ramp first, his cloak billowing gently in the stale wind. Obi-Wan supported Anakin, who was recovering but still shaky from the strike on Geonosis. Yoda walked ahead of them, his steps small yet deliberate. Inside the building, the shadows felt alive. They clung to the walls, swallowing sound, suffocating any sense of safety. Dooku scanned the dark chamber. He should have revealed himself by now. Obi-Wan placed a cautious hand on his lightsaber. Perhaps he has. Then they saw it, a hollow projector sitting alone on the cracked floor, humming faintly. Dooku approached slowly, his instincts clawing at him with warnings. He activated the device. A towering crimson hologram of Darth Sidious flickered to life. The Sith Lord's face twisted with malice as he leaned forward, voice dripping with venom. "Traitor! You disappoint me, Lord Tyrannus. To betray me, to crawl back to the Jedi, I should have ended you years ago." Obi-Wan ignited his lightsaber, the blue glow filling the chamber. Anakin followed a heartbeat later. Dooku stepped protectively in front of them, eyes narrowing. "It is over, Sidious. I will not be your pawn any longer." Sidious smiled. "Then die as the failure you are." A sharp series of beeps erupted from the surrounding walls. Dooku's eyes widened. "Get back!" The explosion tore through the building with the force of a dying star. Fire erupted across every surface, swallowing the chamber in a cascade of orange and red. Metal screamed as it was torn apart. Walls collapsed, the roof disintegrated, and Dooku acted on pure instinct. He gathered every last shred of his strength, every reserve he had cultivated through decades of mastery, and unleashed a massive force push aimed at Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Anakin. The three were hurled outward, crashing through a broken window and tumbling across the rooftop of the adjacent structure. The blast wave licked at their heels. Fire clawed at their robes. When the inferno finally settled, the building where Dooku had stood no longer existed, just shattered Durasteel and clouds of molten ash. Obi-Wan coughed violently, rolling onto his side as he tried to catch his breath. His robes were scorched, the side of his face burned. Anakin groaned next to him, struggling to rise. Yoda pushed debris off his small frame with a grunt. Obi-Wan stood, heart sinking. Dooku. But before he could finish, a cold wind swept across the rooftop. A hooded figure stepped out from the darkness, black cloak rippling, pale hands hidden in the folds of Sith fabric. Darth Sidious. He had escaped the collapse unharmed. His face was shadowed, but the smile he wore was unmistakable, a smile of triumph. Sidious slowly ignited his lightsaber. Red illuminated the rooftop like blood on steel. "Now," he hissed, "none of you will leave here alive." Obi-Wan and Anakin exchanged one brief glance, no words, only understanding. Their blades ignited beside Yoda's brilliant green. The three Jedi stood united. Sidious tilted his head. "You, Skywalker, you are wasted on them. Join me and fulfill your true destiny." Anakin spat blood onto the rooftop. "I'd rather die." Sidious moved, not walked, not ran. He blurred, an explosion of impossible speed. His blade came crashing down in a whirlwind of red fury. Obi-Wan barely intercepted the strike, his arms trembling from the impact. Anakin leapt in, attempting to flank Sidious, but the Sith Lord spun mid-air, kicking Anakin backward and sending him skidding across the rooftop. Obi-Wan engaged Sidious directly, their strikes sizzling in the night, but Sidious was faster, far faster. His movements were jagged, unpredictable, like a shadow given rage and form. He feinted left, then twisted right, his blade grazing Obi-Wan's ribs. Obi-Wan stumbled back, breathing sharply. Yoda intervened with a leap, his green blade spinning. Sidious snarled. He hated fighting Yoda. The old master's movements were a mirror to his own, impossible and relentless. Obi-Wan pressed in again. He had to buy time, for Anakin, for Yoda, for the galaxy. Then he saw an opening, a perfect downward strike, but Sidious had laid the trap just for him. Sidious caught Obi-Wan's blade, twisted sharply, and before Obi-Wan could react, Darth Sidious's crimson saber carved through his right arm. Obi-Wan screamed. The world spun. He collapsed to his knees, clutching the cauterized stump where his arm had once been. His lightsaber flew from his hand, clattering across the rooftop. Sidious raised his blade for the killing blow. Kenobi, always in my way. Before the blade could fall, Anakin barreled into Sidious, rage burning in every strike. Their sabers clashed violently, sparks showering the rooftop. Anakin had no finesse now, only raw power and desperation. Sidious laughed as he parried the furious blows. "You have potential, Skywalker, but you are weak." The Force lightning hit Anakin like a storm. His scream echoed across the skyline, his body convulsed, electricity crawling across his limbs and lifting him off the ground. Obi-Wan, helpless, reached out with his remaining arm. "Anakin!" Yoda sprang toward Sidious, only for a second wave of lightning to blast him back, sending him tumbling across the rooftop. Sidious intensified the current. "You will die just as your mother died." Screaming, Anakin felt the world fading. Pain consumed everything. His vision dimmed. And then a red blade burst through Sidious's heart. The lightning stopped instantly. Sidious staggered backward, disbelief etched across his twisted face. Behind him stood Count Dooku, burned beyond recognition. Half his cloak melted into his flesh, but alive, barely alive, standing only through willpower and hatred for the man who puppeteered his downfall. Dooku leaned close, voice a raspy whisper. "You were the fool." He ripped the blade free. Sidious collapsed to the rooftop, lifeless, the darkness around him evaporating as if the night itself finally exhaled. Dooku's legs gave out. His lightsaber fell from his hand. He collapsed beside the corpse of Darth Sidious, his burned body finally surrendering to the damage. Obi-Wan crawled toward him, throat tight. Yoda approached slowly, sorrow weighing down each step. Dooku looked up one last time at his former master, his voice weak. "Master, forgive me." Yoda rested a hand gently on Dooku's chest, his eyes heavy. "Return to the Force, you will be. Peace now you may find." Dooku exhaled one final shuddering breath, and was gone. The rooftop fell silent. Only the hum of Coruscant's distant sky lanes filled the void where Sidious's presence had once loomed. Yoda immediately pulled out his communicator. "Help, we require. Gravely injured, the Jedi are." When Obi-Wan next opened his eyes, he was lying in a white medical chamber in the Jedi Temple. A new cybernetic arm rested at his side, polished and pristine. Bandages wrapped his shoulder and ribs. Anakin floated nearby in a Bacta tank, his expression peaceful. Peace, a rare thing. Hours later, Anakin emerged from the tank, and together they learned the truth. Sidious's identity had been revealed. Dooku's recordings had been transmitted to both Separatist and Republic channels. The war, barely started, had collapsed instantly. Armies stood down, Negotiations began. Panic spread through the Senate, followed by relief, followed by a slow settling of calm. The Sith rule of two ended on that rooftop. The prophecy was fulfilled, because the darkness died before the Chosen One ever fell to it. Anakin, free of the burden of destiny, and now aware of what the Jedi life could cost him, chose a new path, a life with Padme, a life without war, a life without chains. Obi-Wan received a new Padawan, Ahsoka Tano, and took pride in guiding her as he once guided Anakin. Often, he and Ahsoka would visit Naboo, sharing quiet dinners with Anakin and Padme, laughing together, healing together. And Yoda, carrying the memory of his fallen Padawan, reshaped the Jedi Order. No longer soldiers, no longer chained to Senate politics. Jedi would once again listen to the will of the Force, not to the demands of governments. Through Dooku's final choice to return to the light, the galaxy was given something precious, a future free of Sith manipulation, a Jedi Order reborn, a Skywalker who never fell, a republic that never died, a better galaxy. And that is where our story ends. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the story. Also, comment down below your thoughts on the story and what other what-if scenarios you'd like to see. Other than that, I'll see you in the next video. As always, may the Force be with you.